everyone, welcome. My name is Katie Orr, and I'll be the host for today's Blab. And we are going to be chatting about planning. Last week, we talked about calling, and just kind of in view of we are all everyday women. There's no woman that's more special than another. We are all individuals, and God has created us exactly the way we are. But sometimes it's difficult to try to figure out what we individually are built to do and what we're not built to do. And so we talked about calling a bit last week, and you can catch that on my site at katieorr.me, and /truth is where you can find the blog, and you can find our conversation about calling there. And then so today we're going to kind of move from that place. If we've figured out what we know God wants us to do, at least for now, then now we've got a plan, right? Now we've got to take action on what we feel God has called us to do. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And I've asked Amy Andrews and Kat Lee to join this conversation because in my eyes, they are both fantastic planners, as well as not just good planners, but also implementers. And I think that is a key also to not just plan, but also to act on those plans. And so we're just going to chat. I've got some questions, but I'm also kind of seeing this as a bit of a therapy session for me in hopes that you all may be able to identify with some of my planning issues and my planning failures. And we'll kind of, feel free to ask questions in the comments also if you have a specific thing that you want addressed. But I know, but before we get there, let's just kind of back up a little bit and maybe give us a quick introduction, maybe one sentence about yourself. And then from there, we'll maybe go ahead and say who you are and what you do, and then why you think planning is important in, I don't know, 1 or 2 sentences. So, Amy, you want to try it out? Can we hear you?
I don't know.
Yay! Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, right. That was so weird. I don't know. I was trying it on my phone because last time I did it on my computer. This time I thought I would do it on my phone, but it was like the sound was so weird. Are you guys doing it on your computers or your phone?
My iPad.
Computer. There we go.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right.
Well, you sound great now.
Okay, good. Yeah, I think computer wins. I'm Amy from amylynnandrews.com, and I do various things, teach people how to blog and write the newsletter and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's my gig. Yeah.
Lots of stuff. So why would you say planning is important in 1 to 2 sentences?
Oh, well, it is important because otherwise I am a hamster in a wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Getting nothing done, just whittling away my days, doing nothing.
Yes.
I still do that on a regular basis.
Yeah. Oh, good. All right. Well, Kat, maybe introduce yourself and then why do you think planning is important?
Okay. My name is Kat Lee, and I podcast at inspiredtoaction.com, and I also lead an online community called hellomornings.org, where we help women wake up for their lives and not to their lives. And I think planning is important because I have a place that I want to end up. I know what I want from my life, and the only way to take advantage of that and to get there is to have a plan. Just like you plan for a vacation or you plan for a college degree, you need to have steps to get to that long-term goal. That was more than one sentence. I'm really sorry.
No, that was good. And I think most people would say that planning is important, right? I think it's pretty, I don't know, maybe it's just the circles I run in, but I think that most people would say, yeah, it's a good idea to have a plan. But the reality in our days, a lot of times, is that we don't have a plan, right? We just kind of, sometimes it's appropriate to wing it and sometimes it's not. So let's talk about, why it is important for our lives. And then also, is it biblical? Do you all think that it is biblical for us to plan? We all look through life from a Christian worldview. And so is it biblical to plan? What do you think, Amy?
Oh, I think so. I suppose you could just look at it in general, broad strokes, and just say, I think God had a plan, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's just the whole story of creation and Christ coming and redemption, etc. So I do. And also, what's that proverb? I should have looked it up beforehand, but the proverb about the ants storing away for for the next season or whatever. Yeah, I definitely think it's important. I think it's tricky though to figure out where is the line between planning. Like in James, it talks about, basically don't plan anything. What is I don't know. I'm totally butchering it. But, don't plan anything because nobody really knows what's going to happen tomorrow. Whatever the Lord wills.
Right.
So,
right.
I think both are true.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of finding the balance, I think, in between. Absolutely.
Kat, are you still there?
I am here, but I missed the question.
Okay. The question is planning biblical? Do you think that it is biblical for us to have planning in our lives? Or is this just a media thing that we believe, everybody tells us I should have a plan, but
no, I think it's totally biblical because God has a plan for us. And I think the thing that causes the divide is that we think that we do the planning and that is something separate from him, when really I think spending time with him and planning go hand in hand. And when we spend time with him, then we get our plan. And when we try to make our plan apart from him, then it gets all wonky, and that's where things get messed up. But I think part of planning is just spending time in the Word and with him, because he has a plan and a purpose for us, and it's just our job to figure out what that is.
Yeah, I love that. And so far it seems like we've seen, yes, we all would say planning is biblical and it is important and it affects every area of our lives. But we have already seen by something Amy said is that you both said that, yes, it's biblical to plan because God has a plan. He has a plan from the beginning of time. Before there was time, he's had a plan for each of us individually. And so part of our job is being able to tap into what is God's plan for us. And that goes back to what we were talking about with calling. But then at the same time, there's this idea that, yes, we can plan, but we need to hold those plans loosely. I think that's what you were alluding to, Amy, that there is still this idea that we are absolutely not really in control of anything. But yeah, we do control our moments. We control our actions. We have a choice. We have choices to make, and that affects the outcome of our moments, I think, in the what's the word I'm looking for? The experience that we have of God and his plan for us. So, I would love to hear from each of you kind of what does your rhythm of planning look like? From the outside looking in, I see you all as very intentional people. You are planners, but you're also doers. I tend to be a doer, but not a planner, if that makes sense. Like I can get a lot of stuff done, but I'm not always doing the right things. And I see you both as very much intentional planners and intentional implementers. So kind of share with us what your rhythm of planning looks like. Does that question make sense?
Yes.
Like where do you start and how do you get going, and do you reevaluate? Do you do this once a week, once a month, once a year? What does your rhythm of planning look like?
Am I going first?
Sure.
Yes, because you talked first. So I was just waiting.
You're so polite, Kat. Thank you. I think for me, what I find is that every season of life, I have to reevaluate my previous plan. So, for example, and seasons vary. So sometimes it is maybe my husband gets a new job, or his job responsibilities change, or my job responsibilities change, or the kids start school, or summer vacation hits, or whatever it is. So then I find that I need to kind of reevaluate, go back, look at what was working for us before, and then make tweaks. And that happens continuously. And then in between there, I'm constantly tweaking as we go. And usually I would say that I never have a really great, perfect plan set up. It always ends up being modified as time goes by because things come up, or I realize that, hey, if we did it this way, it would be better, that type of thing. So I think for me, I like to do things in time blocks, time chunking. So certain things like my work time gets blocked into a time, and when I'm home with the kids doing schoolwork, for example, that gets blocked into a time. And that's how I try to organize my life in general. And then specifically on a daily basis, what it looks like for me is using Google Calendar to keep track of all of the different activities and things. So I have a bunch of different calendars, as well as my husband's calendar and the calendar for, like volleyball, for example, or whatever it is. And then what I think helps for me most is going through it each day and looking at the next day's activities, and then, making a list of the things, just the top 3 things that I've got to make sure that I hit the next following day.
Mm-hmm. Good. I like that. So that's the idea of time blocks that, thinking through in the afternoon, I'm going to do this. In the morning, I'm going to do this. Or in the evening, I have no planning time. It's family time or whatever. So thinking through chunks of time that you have available to get things done. Is that what I'm hearing? Is that correct?
Right. And trying. I am not good. In fact, I am miserably bad at creating really hard boundaries between one block of time and the next. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's frustrating for me because working from home presents an interesting challenge. My office is in my bedroom. Mm-hmm. Office, if you could call it that. The desk where I work is in my bedroom. So it's very hard to figure out ways to say, okay, the work time is now over and I'm moving on to the next chunk of time. Mm-hmm. And and if anything comes up unexpectedly, it generally is my work time, in my case, my work time that gets squeezed out. So then I feel like I'm trying to find nooks and crannies elsewhere to, squeeze it back in. So
yeah. That's hard. So if you have on a good day and you have a good plan and you've gone, look, it sounds also like you, every day you look back at the to-do list and you look back at your plan for that day, and then you evaluate, okay, what's my top 3 for today? What are the things that I must get done today? So on a good day, what does that look like then?
Well, I think for example, working, I've got to figure the thing that's most important to me above everything else from a work perspective is getting my newsletter done every week. That is my main thing and my main goal. So ideally, what will happen is during my work time, my newsletter is the first thing that gets tackled, and then other things kind of fit in around that. When it comes to home life, my kids' school, keeping up with my kids' school, things just fall through the cracks like crazy around here. Mm-hmm. So, I think what happens is sometimes I've been in those stages where I've made really detailed plans for a lot of areas of my life all at once, and that never works. I just have to keep to 1 or 2 things. Otherwise, I'm doing a whole lot of things very badly.
Yeah. Well, what about you, Kat? What does kind of a good planning rhythm look like for you?
So I think the first thing that I always have to keep in mind is that when it comes to planning is kind of number 3 on the list. So it's God and then me and then the plan. So the plan, I don't ever want it to rule me and how I'm feeling or my circumstances. I don't ever want it to get a greater focus than God. And I always want to refer back to that. And so that's just important for me to always remember. Having said that, something that I've been doing lately that I really, really like is what I call a 6-week press. So basically, I will sit down and I will take some time and kind of plan out the next 6 weeks, the things that I'm going to work on, and just kind of a general focus for each week. So maybe 1 week is working on getting all of the lesson planning done for homeschooling my 13-year-old. And then that week, whenever I'm working on something, my goal is to get that project done, and I'll kind of break things down so that whenever I'm focusing on something for a week, that it's something that I can finish, whether it's getting homeschooling done, the lesson planning done for the semester, or if I can only get a month's done, that week, then I'll do that. But I'll make sure that it's a chunk that I can really feel good about having completed at the end of the week. So I'll find 4 different projects that I want to do and that I believe I can get done in a week, and I'll assign those. Week 1 I'll do this, week 2 I'll do this, week 3 I'll do this, week 4 I'll do this, and those will be my priority. At the end of the week, I want those things done. And then the 5th week is where my focus is to schedule my next 6-week press, and I'll figure out what I want to work on, how I can break things down into chunks that I can finish per week. And then the 6th week of my 6-week press is where my focus is on resting and relaxing and doing things that I don't usually make time to do. Now, that might be different for some people. Maybe some people are better at resting and relaxing and doing fun things. I'm kind of not. And I know that sounds very weird, but I'm not always intentional about it. And so I'll end up working, then being exhausted, and then just doing nothing except something completely empty and useless for a week. And that doesn't do me any good. So if I'm intentional about replanning in that 5th week for the next 6-week press, and in that 6 weeks, if I'm intentional about resting, then I'm ready to go for the next 4 projects that I want to finish. And I feel really good because I got these big projects that I've been wanting to do done, and they're off my to-do list, and I can feel really good about that. So that's something that's been really helpful for me. Like Amy said, it's so helpful for me to just focus on one thing and know that in general, I have this one goal for this week, and that's the thing that's my priority and that I'm focusing on, and everything else kind of gets second place. And that's been very helpful just for the way that my brain works.
Yeah. So if your week is, maybe your week's focus is homeschool, getting your daughter's plan ready for the semester. So does that mean that that's all you do, or it's going to be primary, but do you also do kind of sneak in other tasks that need to get done as well?
Definitely. So kind of something that I do even before that is I do a time evaluation. And actually redid this yesterday because I realized that now that school has started and I'm homeschooling and I have kids in 2 other schools, my time looks a whole lot different. And so I just basically wrote down everything that I do, like from picking up my kids' random stuff around the house to doing dishes to whatever. And I wrote down everything I do and kind of figured out how much time I have available each week, which was shockingly small amount and a little bit sad. But it helped me to see that, I'm not tired because I'm wasting time right now. I'm tired because there's just a whole lot on my plate. And after doing that, actually, my husband saw it and he's like, oh, wow, I didn't realize that you were doing that much stuff. So he actually, just before we got in this interview, he came in real quick and got the laundry because he's decided to take over the laundry for me.
Awesome.
So if you want your husband to be awesome like that, evaluate your time and figure out what you're doing. And so you're not just tired, but there's actually on a piece of paper, this is why I'm so tired and this is how much stuff I'm actually doing. And so I got a little distracted from your question, but okay,
no, that's really good. It's good. Yeah.
So, so in that time evaluation, I put down, okay, well, I have to spend this much time on replying to customers about my planner or doing Hello Mornings things or working on the podcast. So I work that time into the week, and it's really the leftover time that I use for those main projects. But there, I'm focused on that and intentional about it. So I make sure that I have time for those projects.
Yeah. And I'll say, I kind of put out a cry for help to Kat. I don't know, but I guess it was about a month ago. It was maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago. And I was like, I just feel, and I'm not usually one to get overwhelmed really easily. And like I said, I'm a doer. I can get some stuff done. I just churn it out. God's made me to be an achiever. But I started getting this sense of, there's things that I want to do and accomplish that I tend to not get to because I'm so busy doing stuff. And I want to be more intentional about continuing to be productive, but being productive in the right areas and in the right places. Things that energize me, but then also I think what I do is I tend to do the things that energize me again and again and again and again. And then I ignore the laundry or I ignore the dishes or I ignore all these other things. And I know I will never be just, Susie Homemaker. That's just not my gifts. But at the same time, there is something about being wife and mom that's just part of my job description. And it may look different from other people, but I still have to keep my house livable, at least. We need to figure out some sort of plan of who's going to feed whom and when, even if it's not me. That's part of my job, right? And so I feel a pulling to be, there have been times where I have been great at meal planning and getting the house clean. Lately has not been one of those times. And so, but I feel as if God is kind of nudging me very gently to say, let's center a little bit and just give a little bit of effort toward these things and move forward. So anyway, I kind of reached out to Kat and she told me about her 6-week press and kind of coached me through it. And so I'm on week 5 right now. and I am certainly tired. I'm like week 5 was great. Like I'm supposed to be planning right now for the next one, and I'm not there yet. I think I'm more in the week 6 of just doing whatever I feel like doing. I've slept in twice this week, because I'm tired, but it is such a good feeling. I feel like I have met goals, and I have been super intentional and have produced so much in those 4 weeks that I may not have produced. I would have gotten some stuff done, but the things that I really needed to get done probably wouldn't be near as far as they are right now. And so it has been very, very helpful, and I hope to do it again. So it's just simple. This idea, props for sleeping in. This idea of just spending a week, because I think a lot of us can get overwhelmed with, this is such a big thing, I can't get it done. But if you can think of just what can you get done in a week? What is it? What is a realistic goal for that week? Just thinking about 1 week, and that's it, with the time that you have. And then, I wanted to show you guys this. This is what Kat told me to do, and it's so helpful. In her planner, she has this sheet. I don't know if you can see it in my scratchy whatever, but this is called the weekly overview sheet, and I love this sheet because it has these different sections. So you've got morning, afternoon, and evening. And so just to start my week off, I can look and say, okay, Tuesdays, my morning and afternoon is completely full. Nothing is going to get done that day. And maybe I'll get a little bit done in the evening. But it shows me the block, the schedules, the big chunks of my day that I have to plan things into. And I just really, really, really love that. And so thinking through 4 weeks of that and saying, this week I'm going to work on this project. And here are 3 or 4 big things that need to be done in that project. So I'm going to put this one in on Wednesday afternoon, and this one in on Monday afternoon, and this on Friday afternoon. And it's just been so, so helpful. So,
well, and be encouraged. You don't have to do the next 6-week press right away. It doesn't need to be this constant rotation. Mm-hmm. You can take a few weeks off and plan the next one. But way to go.
Yeah. So anyway, do you have anything to add or interject into that, Amy? It sounds similar to kind of what you do, maybe not just this press, but I think something to this blocks of time are really helpful when we think about implementing our plans.
Yeah, I'm feeling really elementary here.
Why is that, Amy?
But I expected it. I mean, Kat, she's like the queen of getting things done. What
was that?
My water.
Your water?
Yeah,
Is it a bottle?
Oh, okay. Good.
Okay, good.
Nice.
Yeah. What my problem is? My problem is I really like to plan. I hate to do the stuff though.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's mostly my problem, because I can show you a really beautiful color-coded plan, but to actually follow through on it, it's a whole nother story. Mm-hmm. So usually I just want to go have snacks in the kitchen.
So what do you do? But obviously, see, okay, from the outside looking in though, Amy, I see you as a very highly productive person. So you may feel like you don't get a lot done, but it seems as if you do get a lot done. So what do you do when you are looking at that list and you got that 2 to 3 things that you have to do today? Mm-hmm. What do you do to get them done? How do you rally the troops?
Oh man, half the time I don't rally the troops. I'm telling you, I think I'm going through a season of sort of lethargy, because I'm trying to get myself motivated. So I have to tell you, I love the idea of the 6-week press, but it makes me tired just doing it.
It could be the 6-day press
right.
too, if you wanted it.
I think, I don't know. Don't you guys feel like, okay, well, I have a couple of questions for you. So the what did you just call it, Katie? The form. What is that? The form you just showed us.
Yeah. It's in Kat's planner on inspiredaction.com, and it's called the weekly overview sheet.
She's frozen. Oh, there she is.
She said it was the weekly overview sheet.
Oh, okay.
Weekly overview sheet.
Okay, so how does that work? You have I know you just explained it, but You have, for every day of the week, you just block out your time, morning, afternoon, and evening. Did I get that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which planner? Tell me. Okay, where can I find this planner, Kat?
inspiredtoaction.com/planner.
Yeah. And if you scroll up in the comments, you can see it there.
You could also look through your Gmail, because I'm pretty sure I sent you one at some point.
Okay.
So
I'm sure it's in there.
If not, I will.
Okay.
I got it, and it's $15, and it was I just feel like it's great because I can use it again and again and again and again. I have to buy a new planner each year. Because I don't tend to be the one that writes in all the dates and everything. I do that digitally. Like I keep my calendar, like you said, in Google Calendar. So I don't need a $50 planner where I can write down, Monday I have whatever, a dentist appointment or whatever. That's digital for me. And so, but then I feel like I lose out on this ability to go through my goals and then also plan out, to-do list. I'm continually doing on paper. I've tried to do it digitally so many times. And I always go back to, it's just sticky notes. It's just, I'm just continually, there's sticky notes everywhere in my house, and little scrap pieces of paper. I'm continually making a to-do list because I feel like I go crazy if I don't get it out of my head, right? Are you all that way? They call it the brain dump, right? So I'm continually brain dumping. And then what? You know what I mean? Then I get it out. And I'm like, okay. But like I said, I'm good at getting stuff done. So it's like I'm a slave to whatever happens to be on my mind at the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes if I'm not super intentional. So
yeah,
I like this because then I can take my to-do lists that are all over the place and kind of look at them once a week, just like once a week, kind of looking at it on usually Sunday evening. I'm looking ahead to the week and I'm like, okay, these are the main things I need to get done this. Like you said, your top 2 or 3, and I'll put them into this weekly overview. I'll put them in there and go, okay, not the nitpicky things like email so-and-so or pay this bill, but the projects. Because if not, I just will pay the bills sometimes. I don't know. I try to automate as much as I can because I hate finances. But, I'll do those things just because they're there on my to-do list. But then, like I said, I don't do the important things a lot of times. And this has been revolutionary for me to really help be able to do the nitpicky stuff, but not forget, the big things. Like I want to write, like one of the things I did a couple weeks ago, I'm still working on is a Bible study to offer for children to go along with the books that are coming out. I've got 3 Bible studies coming out, and I want to be able to have something that's free that moms can use alongside of the Bible study is for anybody, but I know there's moms out there like me that want to get their kids in the Bible. And so if I can get those, the kids to go along with what I'm studying, then it's a win-win. I don't have to prepare anything. Let's just do it alongside together. And so that's an example of something that I probably would never do because I'm just too busy and doing other things. But that was something I really, really wanted to do and accomplish. And I'm almost done with it. And that has been, I feel like just it's an exciting thing. Like, yay, I can get past this working on the piddly little stuff. So does that make sense, Amy?
Oh yeah, I think so. You know what? As you're talking, I'm thinking back to, I think it was Andy Stanley. I heard him speak at Catalyst one year, and it was like this major aha moment for me. He said, there are so he split the world into 2 types of people when it comes to productivity. You have the thinkers and you have the doers. And he was saying, basically, if you're leading a team, for example, he said, hire the doers. This has nothing to do with anything, but I'm just giving you context. Hire the doers and rent the thinkers, And it was like this. I was like, that is my issue because I am not a doer. I am a thinker. I'm an idea person. I've got the ideas. So you guys, I think, are both doers. And if it's on your list, it gets done. Like there's something about getting it done that's very satisfying. For me, it's the part that's satisfying is getting it on the list. The part that's satisfying is not ticking it off the list. I mean, I like to cross things off or tick them off or whatever, but the getting them on the list is really the fun part, So when the rubber meets the road, that's tricky for me. I have to, I think that's why I've had to really simplify in the last couple of months. Simplify, and I keep telling my husband that there's this urge in me to keep, purging. So like, for example, we got we had to get new floors in the house. Well, what we did was we essentially moved out of the house. We moved all of our furniture into the garage, and then we got the new floors. Well, now I'm resisting moving the furniture back in. Our living room has nothing in it. It's like one big indoor soccer field. My kids love it. But it's like, I don't want to put anything back in. It's because there's something so refreshing about it. Anyway, this is all to say the need for me to simplify it and go, I get distracted by all the shiny apps and whatever. So I like what you said about just writing things down in, on paper. I do the same thing. I want so desperately to keep everything digital, but it's really difficult for me to keep it all digital.
Yeah.
So there's something about writing it down. That's why I've got to break it down to the most basic step. If I can finish a newsletter in a week, I'm good. But my to-do list is I think I have over almost 200 things on my to-do list, but it sits there forever because I feel like I'm never, anyway, maybe I should try the six week press, but woo, that sounds.
Well, I think that's an important distinction to make because we are all, that was really helpful for me as a doer. Who's going to be doing stuff. I cannot rest for long. That's my problem. I need to learn to rest more. And I have to and I think it's funny that Kat essentially is the same way because she says she has the last 6 weeks. I mean, the last week in that 6 week press is what? Rest. So she's planning her rest. she's had to put resting on her to-do list. And I think I'm similar. And so that I think is this 6 week press idea, I think can be really helpful for those of us who are doers. So what about the thinkers? The problem is not having all the ideas. Maybe it's being able to put feet to your calling, to what's important, to what is what you need to get done.
So I would say,
do you agree with that? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think I'm actually kind of I think I'm more of a thinker actually than a doer. I just trick myself into doing. So a couple things that have really helped me to do that are one, whenever I write down a to-do item, I always write down a number, like how important it is, 1, 2, 3, or 4. So my to-do starts off with a number, then it's followed by another number, and that's how long it's going to take. So if it's a number 1, it's really important. If it's 5, it's going to take 5 minutes. If it's 90, it's going to take 90 minutes. But if I write down a task that I don't want to do, in my head, it's going to take 372 minutes. But if I actually think through, to call this person that I don't want to call or to make this doctor's appointment, it's actually only going to take 5 minutes of my time. I write that down because otherwise I'll just gloss over it and be like, oh, I don't want to do that. But if I look and I see, oh, it's only actually going to take 5 minutes, then I'm like, I can do that. 5 minutes from now, I will be done with that. And so I kind of trick myself into that. And then the other thing that I do is during that refresh week, that 5th week of the 6 week press, when I'm planning my next thing, I go through these 5 steps. It feels sort of funny saying, well, I go through this 5-step system. But I call it the 5 Ds. And it's I declutter, I discover, I define, I deliver, and then I do over. And so if you think of it in terms of like a closet or Amy's house, she's talking about the new floors. If you have a closet in your hallway that's just an absolute mess, what do you do with it? First, you just declutter. You just take everything out. And then you might look at it and say, okay, is this a hall closet for coats? Is this a hall closet for wrapping paper? Is this a hall closet that's going to be a fort for my kids? How am I going to use this space? So you're discovering what you're using it for. And then you define, you say, okay, so if it's going to be a space for wrapping paper, where am I going to put the paper? Where am I going to put the tape? Where am I going to put the bags? And you plan all that out and you figure out where you're going to buy those things. And then you just deliver. You go buy those things. You put them in the spaces that you thought you were going to put them. And then, 3 weeks later, you look at the closet again. You do it over. You say, is this working? How's this space working for me? And so then I just apply that to my life. I say, okay, I'm feeling kind of jumbled right now. I just got through with these 4 projects that I really wanted to do, but all these other things kind of piled up. So I just kind of declutter. I'm like, okay, I'm feeling stressed. I'm just going to write everything down. And I usually do that on paper or maybe, on a journal or something like that, and just kind of write down everything that's stressing me out. And then I'm like, okay, that's all the stuff that's stressing me out. Now, what's important for this next season? And I kind of just discover what's the big thing that needs to be done? What is crucial right now? And then I define it. Okay, so what do I need to do to make that happen? And then I just try to get it done. I deliver. And I just do that, every so often. Sometimes that's every morning if I'm feeling really crazy, but at least every few weeks. It's just a process that helps me know what to do next. Instead of just dumping out the stuff that's overwhelming me, I know that once I dump it out of my head, now I need to figure out what's the important goal right now. And then I just kind of go through those. And that has really helped me to kind of at least get back on track every time I fall off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, because I think that's my problem is that I have no shortage of ideas at all, ever. And I want to do them all of them, And so to remind myself, and I think that's part of what I've been doing lately, it's, my to-do list for today when I go to work, for example, is, get the newsletter done. I can do that. It's sad, it's sad because I end up doing a whole lot of, very inconsequential things, when if I would focus a little bit more and be willing to say no, it's opportunity cost, being willing to say no to the other things, it would be a lot more, in the long run, a lot more productive. Do one thing well instead of 20 things badly.
Yeah. And I love that, Amy, over and over again, you say that with blogging. Like, what's your one thing? When somebody comes to your blog, what's the one thing you want them to do? And I think there's so many implications beyond just a blogging homepage. It's today. What's the one thing that I want to make sure happens today? And sometimes that may be nothing that can be crossed off of a to-do list, but it could be today I want to connect with a child that I feel distant with. Like more than anything, that is my one thing I need to do today. And I think that's such a silly, it's a very simple way to live life, and the other things will get done, I think, because sometimes the urgency comes along, we got to get them done. But those one things, a lot of times we can miss it in all of the other things that we want to get done and the clutter. And so I think that there's a theme that keeps coming up here is just that kind of idea of one thing, of really prioritizing. Sometimes we got to back up and say, I'm just in that hamster wheel, like you said, Amy. So I'm going to be busy. Life is busy. We're all in a busy stage of life with kids and work and church and, so many other things. So what is my one thing for today? What's my one thing for this week? What's my one thing for this month? Assuming that other things are going to happen, but keeping first things first. So I think that's a lot of wisdom there, Amy.
Thank you.
Yes. Kat, were you trying to say something? Yes.
Oh, there's this Shauna Nyquist quote that I think she shared on Heather McFadden's podcast. And she said, you're always going to disappoint somebody. Just make sure you disappoint the right people. And that has just been so very helpful to me. I don't want to disappoint God. So all my plans need to be honoring to him. I don't want to disappoint my family. So, if some great, amazing opportunity comes my way, but it's going to disappoint one of my kids, I'm not going to do it. And that really helps me to kind of redefine things and figure out what that one thing is. A guy named Gary Keller says success is not simultaneous, it's sequential. And so we can really only do one thing at a time. And we can especially only do one thing at a time well. And so just the importance of finding that one thing is so important, and just remembering who I'm going to disappoint. I think Tim Ferriss also says, do small bad things or something like that. Just the idea of he would not answer his email when he was working on a book or something. Just let small bad things happen. That was it. Not small bad things. Never mind. Let small bad things happen. And
do bad small things.
Okay.
Kat Lee.
Tweet that. No. Please don't. Let small bad things happen. And I think especially as women, we don't want any bad things to happen. And so then we try to, make sure everything is perfect and everything is happy. But we just need to be okay with letting small bad things happen and disappointing some people as long as we're not disappointing the important people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks, ladies. I am so thankful for your time, and I'm sure we could chat for another couple hours about all sorts of things. And you all are dear friends, and I'm so thankful for your time and your wisdom and your presence in my life as I continue to live out God's calling in my life. So I'm just thankful for you guys, and I learn so much from you every week, if not every day. And I know that everybody listening will be blessed as well. So again, you can find Kat at inspiredaction.com, and I will put a link also to her planner here. And you can find Amy at amylynnandrews.com, and she has this thing called the Notebook that is amazing. And it is just a treasure trove of, is trove a word? People use that all the time, but I really don't know what that is, so I probably shouldn't use it. But it's a treasure. It's a rich of information. It's certainly if you're a blogger or if you have an at-home business that is online, but even if you don't, there are so many things on there just from productivity. I kind of looked over it again this morning, getting ready for today, and there's just just tons of links and different things. And so Amy spends a lot of time online and kind of filters all that down. And I just love it because I don't have to go spend that time. So I'm so thankful for that. I just go to Amy and I say, what do you think? And I just do it. So because I know she's wise and she's done her research. And anyway, so the Notebook, I will put a link for that there, but you can get that at amylynnandrews.com. So, all right. Well, thanks, ladies. And we'll be doing another blab maybe next week, maybe the week after that. And I think the next thing is we're going to be talking about prayer. I would love to know what you all want to hear. Just what conversations do you want to have? And if you have those, you can email me or at katieorr.me. You can contact me from there, or you can leave me a comment here on this blab of what you would like to see the next blabs to be on. So, all right. Well, thanks, ladies. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good day.
You too.
All right. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.